Welcome to Eastern and Western Classical Wisdom Essence, where ancient knowledge meets modern curiosity. We explore timeless wisdom from both Eastern and Western philosophies, history, and cultural traditions, bringing you insightful discussions and fascinating discoveries. Join us as we unlock the secrets of the past to inspire the present and shape the future.
Divine culture. The realistic spirit of the Renaissance with both sacred form and essence. Anyone who appreciates art may notice the considerable differences between Eastern and Western artistic traditions, both in essence and expression. Eastern culture emphasizes profound meaning, favoring a freehand approach that values the spiritual essence over strict physical likeness. In contrast, Western Orthodox art pursues realism and lifelike accuracy, making realism its most defining characteristic. This spirit of realism seems to stem from the inherent nature and instincts of Western artists. Its origins can be traced back to ancient times. Egyptian and Greek art, for example, produced numerous works that combined realism with beauty. Although Egyptian art often followed fixed formulas, their sculptures and paintings adhered to specific patterns. Yet, the concepts of eternal life and resurrection led the Egyptians to create highly lifelike portraits, allowing resurrected souls to find their own human likenesses upon their return. One of the most famous examples is the painted bust of Queen Nefertiti, wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten during the New Kingdom period. Although created over 3,300 years ago, its elegance, confidence, and noble demeanor remains strikingly vivid to modern audiences, evoking admiration and awe. Greek art, on the other hand, pursued the ideal beauty of balance and harmony. Greek sculptors imitated nature while exploring aesthetic principles, seeking to uncover eternal artistic laws. For instance, the sculptor Polykleitos was influenced by the mathematician Pythagoras and authored the Canon, a treatise detailing proportional relationships within the human form and objects. This understanding explains why Greek statues are consistently anatomically precise and visually harmonious. Examples include the bronze statue of Zeus from Cape Artemision, the statue of Venus from Milo's Island, Myron's depiction of a discus thrower, all of which remain celebrated masterpieces in sculpture. The Romans, inheriting Greek artistic traditions, refined these principles further. In addition to mastering the correct proportions of the human body, they sought to accurately record the true appearances and personalities of important figures of their time. This dedication to realism laid the foundation for the Renaissance in Western art. Although the Renaissance is often described as a revival or rebirth of ancient Greek and Roman culture, it was, in reality, an unprecedented artistic light, especially in painting. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle believed that art imitated nature, and that realistic representation elicited interest and pleasure. The closer art came to blurring the line between illusion and reality, the more admiration it garnered. Consequently, realism became a fundamental criterion for evaluating artistic quality. However, achieving realism depended on advanced artistic techniques and suitable media. Prior to the Renaissance, paintings were primarily found in murals, pottery, wooden panels, and mosaics. While these mediums produced remarkable works, they lacked the depth and accuracy that Renaissance artists would later achieve. What set Renaissance painting apart from its predecessors was the continuous technological advancement in the pursuit of realism. Achieving true-life realism in painting requires overcoming significant challenges. The difficulty lies in rendering the illusion of three-dimensional space on a two-dimensional surface. How can spatial depth be conveyed on a flat canvas? How can an artist accurately depict different perspectives of objects? How can volume and dimensionality be represented through light and shadow? How can different materials be realistically portrayed? How can light and air be rendered naturally and transparently? Most importantly, how can the subject of a painting appear vivid and dynamic, rather than rigid and lifeless? These are the fundamental questions that Orthodox realist painters have grappled with for centuries, questions that, during the Renaissance, finally began to be resolved. 1. Perspective. The key to creating depth. Greek artists used mathematics to explore the principles of proportion and harmony, and Renaissance artists inherited this analytical spirit. For example, the Florentine architect Bruno Leschi discovered that if lines on a plane converge toward a vanishing point and follow the proportional rule of near large and far small, they create the illusion of distance and spatial depth. His findings were expanded upon by Alberti, a multifaceted scholar who was an architect, mathematician, playwright, and musician. Alberti established the principles of perspective in his treatise on painting, which profoundly influenced Renaissance artists. Enthralled by this groundbreaking discovery, painters eagerly applied perspective techniques to their work, leading to masterpieces such as Masacci's The Trinity, Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, and Raphael's The School of Athens. Perspective became a fundamental rule in Western painting, governing spatial composition until the advent of modern art in the 20th century, when it was deliberately abandoned. Once an artist mastered perspective, creating the illusion of three-dimensional space on a flat surface became effortless. Renaissance paintings often incorporated architectural structures to enhance the illusion of spatial extension. The perspective within murals was seamlessly integrated with the architecture, making the wall appear as an open gateway to another realm, blurring the distinction between reality and illusion. The French call this technique trompe l'oeil, meaning deceiving the eye. Leonardo da Vinci applied this method in The Last Supper, painted on the dining hall wall of the monastery of Santa Maria del Grazie in Milan. His intention was to create the illusion that viewers walking into the room would feel as though they were witnessing Jesus and his 12 disciples dining together. However, the painting did not fully achieve its intended effect, not because of errors in perspective, but due to da Vinci's experimental pigment mixture, which deteriorated quickly and caused the masterpiece to peel over time. When taken to its extreme, this technique could create stunningly unreal yet immersive scenes, particularly in religious and mythological themes. One remarkable example is Correggio's Assumption of the Virgin Mary, a ceiling fresco in the Cathedral of St. Giovanni in Parma. By employing an upward perspective with a vanishing point at the center of the dome, Correggio successfully created a grand vision that appears to ascend endlessly into the heavens. The phrase "seeing is believing" suggests that faith often relies on direct perception. Ordinary believers cannot physically see God, and their devotion depends on their personal understanding. By the Renaissance era, people no longer accepted the Church's authority as unquestioningly as they had during the Middle Ages. Instead, they placed greater emphasis on worldly life. In art, religious themes evolved beyond the rigid iconography of medieval tradition, depicting scenes that felt more relatable to everyday life. However, if an artist could convincingly illustrate the presence of God, using remarkable skill creating an immersive experience, where viewers felt as though they were witnessing divine visions or miracles, it could reignite the faith of those drifting away from the Church. This is why the Vatican actively sought the most talented artists to serve its cause. Naturally, an artist with deep faith and exceptional skill strives to create works that glorify the greatness of God. Through sincere artistry, they aim to reveal divine light, beauty, and presence to the world. Perhaps in moments of pure inspiration, technical breakthroughs seem almost divinely guided. At such times, the power that moves the human soul arises not merely from religion or artistic mastery, but from the profound union of both. Beyond fresco painting, perspective also played a crucial role in Renaissance artwork. Painters viewed their canvases as open windows into another dimension, making spatial composition an essential aspect of their craft. Leonardo da Vinci's Annunciation exemplifies this approach, depicting an angel and the Virgin Mary within a vast outdoor setting. The scene includes buildings, trees, meadows, rivers, boats, and distant mountains. Da Vinci masterfully connects the perspective of architectural elements, such as the tiled floor, stone table, and floral pedestal, leading the viewer's eye toward a vanishing point on the horizon, drawing them deeper into the scene. In addition to linear perspective, Da Vinci employed atmospheric perspective to enhance the sense of distance in his paintings. This technique shares similarities with the use of real and virtual space in traditional Chinese landscape painting, where nearby mountains are sharply defined with dark ink, while distant mountains appear hazy with lighter tones. This contrast heightens the perception of depth. However, Da Vinci was not influenced by Eastern philosophical concepts like yin-yang or the balance of reality and illusion. Instead, he pragmatically translated his observations of nature into visual art. By manipulating color, light, and shading, he created an ethereal interplay of light and air, resulting in an illuminated, fluid, and dynamic space that captivates viewers.